Ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to move to the first declaration of result of poll in Coventry for the election of a City Councillor for Wyken on Thursday, the 5th of May 2022. I, Martin Reeves, being the returning officer at the above election, do hereby give notice that the number of votes recorded for each candidate at the said elections is as follows. Abbott, Fay, Labour Party, 1,635. Berry, Russell, Green Party, 363. Shrikantha Sivamayoran, commonly known as Sri Mayoran, Conservative and Unionist Party, 1,157. Williams, Lorna, Kareen, Coventry Citizen Party, 220. The total number of ballot papers rejected was 19, and the turnout for this ward was 27.05%. So I do hereby declare that Faye Abbott is duly elected.
Thank you. Martin, your team today have done a fantastic job. I think it's the first time Wyken's been the first to be announced, so it's an honour to be the first result to be called in the city this evening. Thank you to the team who have manned the polling booths all day today. It's a really long day, and the team counting this evening, you've done a fantastic job and it's been really smooth. So again, thank you. You've got a cracking team. A massive thank you to the team who supported me through the campaign, my agent Angela and the rest of the Wyken team. But most of all, thank you to the residents of Wyken for putting your faith in me for another 4 years to act as your councillor. I will continue to work hard for the people of Wyken, to campaign on the issues that are important to you and to campaign against the austerity policies of the Conservative government. Thank you, Martin.
Candidates and agents for the Longford ward, please. Provisional result at the Legends Lounge. That's candidates and agents for Longford ward to the Legends Lounge. Provisional result, please.
I'm now able to move towards the next declaration of result of poll in Coventry for the election of a City Councillor for Henley on Thursday the 5th of May 2022. I, Martin Reeves, being the returning officer at the above election, do hereby give notice that the number of votes recorded for each candidate at the said election is as follows. Mayton, Kevin Barry, Labour Party, 1,865. O'Toole, Aidan Spencer, Trade Unionist and Socialist Coalition, 63. Taylor, Kenneth John, Conservative and Unionist Party, 960. Watterbot, Catherine Elizabeth, commonly known as Watterbot Cathy, Green Party, 296. Wilson, Charlotte Ann, commonly known as Wilson Charlie, Coventry Citizens Party, 219. The total number of ballot papers rejected was 15, and the turnout for this ward was 23.2%. So I do hereby declare that Kevin Barry Mayton is duly elected.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Martin, and your team for arranging and getting us at a much earlier hour than some of us are used to. Can I also give a big shout out to Table 2, all their workers and the staff in working with them, because they sat there patiently, and we've had the result for over an hour. So thank you very much for being extra efficient. That's brilliant. I'd like to thank my agent, John, who is unfortunately isolating with COVID at the moment, and the rest of the team, Susanna, Barry, Pam, Larry, and Angela was also helping my wife. And a very big thank you to Pat and Dave, who've done a sterling job in delivering leaflets. It's a bit nerve-wracking being up here. And the first time I did this was 35 years ago, and it doesn't get any easier. And talking to candidates, they say it's exactly the same. We all go through that. So I hope, even if you're unsuccessful, it's not been too strenuous. And just the last thing is that I have to remember my former colleague Peter Lacey, who's in the same position as I am at the moment as Deputy Lord Mayor, who unfortunately lost his seat and was never able to become Lord Mayor. So it was extra pressure this time. So it's sort of dedicated to Peter, this win, and hopefully I'll be able to do his name and Coventry's name proud next year as your Lord Mayor. So thank you very much.
I'm now able to move to a declaration of result of poll in Coventry for the election of a City Councillor for Upper Stoke on Thursday the 5th of May 2022. I, Martin Reeves, being the returning officer at the above election, do hereby give notice that the number of votes recorded for each candidate at the said election is as follows. Cooper, Gary Ronald, Coventry Citizens Party, 226. Foleshill, Laura Catherine, commonly known as Vesti Laura Catherine, Green Party, 357. Hare, Gurdjieff Singh, Labour Party, 1,696. Hersey, Terry J, commonly known as Hersey Terry, Trade Unionist and Socialist Coalition, 87. Sahal, Gurdeep Singh, Conservative and Unionist Party, 582. The total number of ballot papers rejected was 14, and the turnout for this ward was 22.25%. So I do hereby declare that Gurdeep Singh Hare is duly elected. All yours, sir.
Thank you, everybody. I'd like to thank a returning officer and his staff. I'm ever so pleased for the victory. Why not? We've been trying for a couple of years for that campaign. It's a victory. It's not victory for me. It's a victory for the people and victory for the Labour Party. Thanks, my campaigning team. We did work hard this time. I'd like to thank Cameron Khan and his family as well. I'd like to thank those people who voted for me, and I also like to thank who haven't voted for me. There's a lot of issue in my ward, lot of issue to be addressed. I'd like to change my ward, and should I say, confidential party behind the United Union, they provided them with money and other sources to damage the Labour Party. I think my party should address that after that election. I like to thank our leader George Duggan, who done enormous contribution to our city of Coventry. And I also like to thank Martin Reeve, Chief Executive of City of Coventry, who is doing a wonderful job, no doubt about it. And I also like to thank Andrew Wolster and his staff. Thanks very much.
We have provisional results now about the elections land for candidates and agents of lower
I'm delighted now to move towards declaration of result of poll in Coventry for the election of a city councillor for Longford on Thursday the 5th of May 2022. I, Martin Reeves, being the returning officer at the above election, do hereby give notice that the total number of votes recorded for each candidate at the said election is as follows. Aldred, Carl, Green Party, 295. Bahara, Jaspal Singh, Liberal Democrat, 181. Crooks, Diane Sylvia, Conservative and Unionist Party, 645. Harvard, Lindsley, Labour Party, 1,982. Spalding, Nicola Jane, Coventry Citizens Party, 151. The total number of ballot papers rejected here was 17, and the turnout for this ward was 23.11%. So I do hereby declare that Lindsley Harvard is duly elected.
Thank you all. My thanks go to the returning officer and all involved in the voting process and the count. They go to my ward colleagues, Linda and George, and they go to Kerry and Gavin and Kev and many others who've helped this year. I'll do my very best to repay you in kind. My thanks too to my wonderful constituents for electing me yet again. As always, I promise to do my very best for you too. Now, what really hit home to me this election was on the doorstep how bitter feelings are against this self-seeking and dishonest Tory central government, which for 12 years has brought nothing but harm. And it's a bitterness against the whole government, not just against Johnson for his lies and contempt for the Constitution and for the law. People won't forget the sending back of the elderly from hospital to care homes without first testing for COVID, which condemned 20,000 pensioners to death. They won't forget the rise in unemployment, falling living standards, rising costs of food, energy, and interest rates. They won't forget the rent rises or that their children can't buy homes. They won't forget the creeping privatisation of the NHS. They won't forget the rising crime rates, lower detection rates, and the need for more police. And they won't forget the terms non-dom status, tax havens, or green card entitlements to move countries once they've feathered their nests. Only a general election can end the nightmare that we're in, and the sooner that comes, the better. Thank you very much.
Flash working, right? I'm now able to move towards the declaration of result of poll in Coventry for the election of a City Councillor for Woberly on Thursday the 5th of May 2022. I, Martin Reeves, being the returning officer at the above election, do hereby give notice that the total number of votes recorded for each candidate at the said election is as follows. Filled, Russell David, Liberal Democrat, 172. Lewis Nate, Coventry Citizens Party, 108. Patterson Anne-Marie, commonly known as Patterson Anne, Green Party, 303. Singh Baljinder, commonly known as Singh Bali, Labour and Cooperative Party, 2,390. Smith Stephen James, Conservative and Unionist Party, 911. The total number of ballot papers rejected here was 15, and the turnout for this ward was 33.72%. So I do hereby declare that Baljinder Singh is duly elected. All yours, Bally.
Okay, so thank you first of all to everyone here, the police, the returning officer, all the people that are working here so hard and late in the night, early hours, upholding the values of democracy and local democracy. Also like to thank all my colleagues, Councillor Pervez Akhtar, Councillor Jane Innes. If you can give a hand to both of them. All the members in the ward that have helped out, especially Tom and Pam and Chris. I'm sorry if I've forgotten anybody, but I'd like to just thank everyone. Also, like to thank all the candidates who stood against me. It was a campaign that was run in a good manner, and we put out the information to residents, and the residents made their choice, and they voted for Labour. And let's hope that happens at the next general election too. Thank you very much.
I'm delighted to move towards the declaration of result of poll in Coventry for the election of a City Councillor for Lower Stoke on Thursday the 5th of May 2022. I, Martin Reeves, being the returning officer at the above election, do hereby give notice that the number of votes recorded for each candidate at the said election is as follows. Ballinger, Michael Arthur, Conservative and Unionist Party, 810. O'Sullivan, John Patrick, Trade Unionist and Socialist Coalition, 130. Reeves, Esther Mary, Green Party, 400. Singh, Rupinder, Labour and Cooperative Party, 2,274. Stringfellow, Danielle, Coventry Citizens Party, 211. And the total number of ballot papers rejected here was 15, and the turnout for this ward was 24.98%. So I do hereby declare that Rupinder Singh is duly elected. All yours.
Thank you, Martin. I just want to say thank you to everybody who's in your team for doing this process very smoothly. As always, it's very impressive. I also want to say thanks to the Low Stoke ward members who do campaign all year round, and they're the true unsung heroes. And many of them are here: Paul, Ken, John Talenta, Matt. Many of them are not here, but truly thankful to all of them. And thanks to my fellow councillor Catherine and John. They do fantastic work with me all the time. And a very special thanks to my agent, David Seaman, probably the best agent anybody can have in the world. The most effective, the most energetic, unbelievable, unparalleled. You know, can't thank him enough. And also I just want to say thank you to my family and my wife Sunita for putting up with all the time I am not at home. And finally I want to say thank you to the Low Stoke people for putting their faith in me, and I promise I will do my best for you with everything I have. So thank you very much, and thank you. Thank you.
Candidates and agents, please, for the following wards make their way to the elections lounge for provisional results. That's candidates and agents for Foleshill, candidates and agents for Sherbourne, and candidates and agents for Wainbody make their way to the elections lounge, please. Now ready to make declaration of results of poll in relation to Binley and Willenhall. So can the candidates and agents for Binley and Willenhall please make their way to the stage area.
I'm now able to move to the declaration of result of poll in Coventry for the election of a City Councillor for Binley and Willenhall on Thursday the 5th of May 2022. I, Martin Reeves, being the returning officer at the above election, do hereby give notice that the number of votes recorded for each candidate at the said election is as follows. Brown, Christine Lynn, commonly known as Brown Chrissy, Green Party, 232. Cowley, Paul Nicholas, Coventry Citizens Party, 635. Fitzgerald Marianne Angela, Alliance for Democracy and Freedom, 113. Kangura Amarjit Singh, Conservative and Unionist Party, 949. Mutton John Roderick, Labour Party, 1,355. The total number of ballot papers rejected here was 21, and the turnout for this ward was 25.41%. So I do hereby declare that John Roderick Mutton is duly elected. All yours.
It's all right, comrades. I can walk a bit quicker than that. I just want to soak up the atmosphere. Obviously, I want to thank all the staff for their work, but more importantly, I want to thank my comrades from the Labour Party. Without their help, we would have struggled in Binley and Willenhall this year, with both Mal and myself hospitalised. It made life somewhat difficult for us. So, comrades, for those of you who devoted time to help us, thank you very much. I also need to thank the people of Binley and Willenhall, and I don't want to sound arrogant when I say this is the 11th consecutive election that I have won thanks to them supporting me. They have shown what they think of this Tory government. They've shown what they think of the wine and cheese parties that the Tories were having when they couldn't even say goodbye to family, friends and relatives that were dying during the COVID pandemic. The people of Binley and Willenhall have shown yet again that they will not tolerate, the kind of attitude that this Tory government put forward, particularly the way they have stolen millions of pounds from councils up and down the country, £120 million per year in this city alone. Just imagine what we could do for the people we represent with that kind of money. So again, my thanks to the people of Binley and Willenhall, and I promise that I will continue working as hard for you now as I did 38 years ago when I first became a councillor. Thank you.
Candidates and agents for Earlsdon go to Legends Lounge to please for provisional results. That's candidates and agents for Earlsdon. Thank you.
I'm now able to move to the declaration of result of poll in Coventry for the election of a city councillor for Radford on Thursday, the 5th of May, 2022. I, Martin Reeves, being the returning officer at the above election, do hereby give notice that the number of votes recorded for each candidate at the said election is as follows. Anderson David, commonly known as Anderson Dave, Trade Unionist and Socialist Coalition, 114. Bosworth Irina, Coventry Citizens Party, 175. Heatherton Patricia Maria, Labour Party, 1,807. Ridley Laura Francis, Conservative and Unionist Party, 600. Spriddle Julie Ann, Green Party, 261. The total number of ballot papers rejected here was 13, and the turnout for this ward was 19.58%. So I do hereby declare that Patricia Maria Heatherton is duly elected. All yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Martin. Thank you to all the staff here tonight. Thank you for Table 9. It's appreciated. Thank you, Tony Skipper, Gavin Lloyd, Pervez, Pat Seaman, all the people that have been out for me, Naeem, everybody that has wished me well, because this has been a nasty campaign. It's been very personal. At times, you know, I've looked, there's been clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right, and it hasn't been very funny at all. But the people of Radford have given me their support. I will always work hard for them. And I think that it's just to thank everybody that has helped me through this, because it's been a very difficult period. And I really, really appreciate it. Thank you to George. Thank you to the other group officers and their team, everybody, Christine, everybody that's been there for me and supported me through this difficult time. And just to say, upwards and onwards, let's get on with the job. Thank you to everybody. Thank you.
I'm now able to move to a declaration of result of poll in Coventry for the election of a City Councillor for Cheylesmore on Thursday, the 5th of May 2022. I, Martin Reeves, being the returning officer at the above election, do hereby give notice that the number of votes recorded for each candidate at the said election is as follows. Bailey, Roger Maurice James, Conservative and Unionist Party, 1,848. Granger, Anna Caroline, Liberal Democrat, 193. Griffith, Eleanor Elizabeth, commonly known as Griffith Judy, Trade Unionist and Socialist Coalition, 61. Jones, Sian Katie, Coventry Citizens Party, 82. Kaur, Amarjit, commonly known as Kaur Ami, Labour Party, 1,526. Verdult, John, Green Party, 222. The total number of ballot papers rejected here was 13, and the turnout for this ward was 33.44%. So I do hereby declare that Roger Maurice James Bailey is duly elected.
It's been a long night, so this is going to be a short speech. First of all, can I thank the returning officer and all those counters on table 14 who are doing such a good job. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the people who voted for me and those who lent me their vote, which I know there's a few. I'd also like to thank the people who have been there for me all along, especially 3 people, Pauline, Barbara, and all the work that Ryan did. Thank you very much for that, and thank you for all your support. Thank you.
I'm now able to move towards declaration of result of poll in Coventry for the election of a City Councillor for Bablake on Thursday, the 5th of May 2022. I, Martin Reeves, being the returning officer at the above election, do hereby give notice that the number of votes recorded for each candidate at the said election is as follows. Birdie, Jaswant Singh, Conservative and Unionist Party, 2,074. Middleton, Anthony Arthur, commonly known as Middleton Tony, Coventry Citizens Party, 195. Spence Caroline, Liberal Democrat, 200. Walker George Robert, Labour Party, 1,391. Webb Niall, Green Party, 290. The total number of ballot papers rejected here was 10, and the turnout for this ward was 34.46%. So I do hereby declare that Jaswant Singh Birdy is duly elected. All yours.
Mr. Martin Reeves, Chief Executive and Returning Officer, ladies and gentlemen. I'm pleased to have been elected to serve a third term as Bablake Councillor. Much energy and time spent on building the foundation in Bablake, and the result proved that there are 3 Conservative councillors once again in Bablake ward. I would like to thank our technical team, Councillor Ryan Simpson, along with the executive team, whose members have been supportive of my endeavours in winning this election. Now I would like to thank our activist Muhammad Tariq, a renowned poet who takes influence from Mirza Ghalib, a famous poet of Persian and Urdu languages. He is in the hall here. Member of our A team, Gurdeep Singh Soul, a financial consultant by profession from East Africa, deserves credit for his tireless effort. Last but not the least, my agent counsel Trilochan Singh Jandu, a retired BTA executive, was also instrumental in success of tonight's results. During the election period, on the doorsteps, residents complained of fly tipping, litter, potholes, speeding, increase in HGV on the road, anti-social behavior, and reluctance shown by people of Coventry to visit town centre for social and shopping activities. I shall be raising these issues with the City Council for resolution and action. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank all the residents of Bablake who made it possible for me to stand here and have won this election. And finally, thank you all for listening.
Agents and candidates, please, for Westwood ward, make their way to the Legends.
For St Michael's on Thursday, the 5th of May, 2022. I, Martin Reeves, being the returning officer at the above election, do hereby give notice that the number of votes recorded for each candidate at the said election is as follows. Nellist, David John, commonly known as Nellist Dave, Trade Unionist and Socialist Coalition, 257. Priestley David Neal, Green Party, 181. Taylor Mary, Conservative and Unionist Party, 270. Welsh David Stewart, Labour Party, 1,898. Wilson Karen, Coventry Citizens Party, 114. The total number of ballot papers rejected here was 13, and the turnout for this ward was 23.08%. So I do hereby declare that David Stewart Welsh is duly elected.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for spending so much time listening to candidates. And I want to start by thanking just a few people myself. And I want to thank Martin Reeves and the team in the Elections Office. It's been run really, really well, and I've really felt supported as a candidate. So a big thank you to them. I want to thank my partner Reese for the support, and I'm a nightmare during elections, so I thank him for his support as well. I want to thank my ward colleagues, Jim O'Boyle, Naeem Akhtar, for their support, not just at election time, but throughout the year. My second biggest thank you is to my agent, Jason Brannigan. He does this year after year. He puts in an awful lot of effort, and it's the things that people do not see that he makes happen. So a big thank you to Jason. And he does deserve a round of applause. My biggest thank you is to the people of St Michael's Ward for electing me tonight. It is a fantastic result, and I am humbled by the people that have sent me messages and supported me today. And I think my final comments that I'm going to make is I think I've received more negative publicity than any other election that I've ever had, and I would say it's unjustified, but I don't put myself forward as a superhero. I do not have a costume. I'm a human being just like everybody else, and what I promise to do for the next 4 years is do my best for the people of St Michael's Ward and for the people of Coventry. So thank you very much for listening, and let's hope it's a bit of a short night, eh? Thank you.
I'm now moving to the declaration of result of poll for Coventry for the election of a City Councillor for Woodlands on Thursday, the 5th of May 2022. I, Martin Reeves, being the returning officer at the above election, do hereby give notice that the number of votes recorded for each candidate at the said election is as follows. Davis Sarah Stephanie, Trade Unionist and Socialist Coalition, 60. Kelly, Lynette Catherine, Labour and Cooperative Party, 1,449. Lepoidovin, Julia Elizabeth, Conservative and Unionist Party, 2,142. Perryman, Mark James, Liberal Democrat, 290. Sim, Leslie Clare, Green Party, 191. Watts, Thomas Craig, Coventry Citizens Party, 67. The total number of ballot papers rejected here was 19, and the turnout for this ward was 30.98%. So I do hereby declare that Julia Elizabeth Lepoidovin is duly elected.
Like my previous colleague, I'm going to keep this brief. But I'm delighted to be standing here as Woodlands Ward Councillor. It is a real privilege and honour to represent Woodlands Ward. I would like to thank Martin Reeves and all the staff and elections team who have worked so hard for the election, to thank the residents of Woodlands for putting their faith and confidence in me again. I must also thank my family, my friends, my agent, Councillor Peter Mayle, our Deputy Chair Political, Ryan Simpson, and the whole of Coventry Conservative team who work so hard together. I look forward to the next 4 years representing Woodlands Ward. Thank you.
So I'm now able to move towards declaration of result of poll in Coventry for the election of a City Councillor for Holbrooks on Thursday, the 5th of May 2022. I, Martin Reeves, being the returning officer at the above election, do hereby give notice that the number of votes recorded for each candidate at the said election is as follows. Dhaliwal Rajinder, commonly known as Dhaliwal Raj, Labour Party, 1,611. Gavin Alan Benjamin, Coventry Citizens Party, 64. Gray Stephen Robert George, Green Party, 2,105. Hensman, Lakshman James, commonly known as Hensman Jim, Trade Unionist and Socialist Coalition, 31. Kazai Zishan, Conservative and Unionist Party, 290. The total number of ballot papers rejected here was 22, and the turnout for this ward was 30.59%. So I do hereby declare that Stephen Robert George Gray is duly elected.
Okay. Thank you to God. Thank you to the people of Holbrooks for putting their trust in me by such a large margin. I'm still trying to get over it. Thank you to all of my amazing team, especially Anne, my campaign manager, who's gone well above the call of duty. Thank you to everyone who's made this election happen, the police, everyone at the elections office, all the people who've put in the countless hours to deliver polling cards, staff polling stations, open postal votes, and actually count. The election couldn't have happened without you, and you've all done a fantastic job. And in 1973, a group of 4 people met together here in Coventry to form a new political party. This was the first party anywhere in the world to be founded on the principle that humanity can only truly prosper if we care for the planet we live on and the animals, plants and other life forms we share it with. Since that day, Green parties have sprung up all over the world, and Greens have been elected to every level of government. But it's only today that a Green has been elected in the city where this global movement first started. So I am both honoured and humbled to serve as Coventry's first Green councillor. I hope and pray that I live up to the responsibility. I look forward to working with people from all parties, or none at all, to make both my ward and my city a better place. Thank you.
I'm now able to move to the declaration of result of poll in Coventry for the election of a City Councillor for Wainbody on Thursday the 5th of May 2022. I, Martin Reeves, being the returning officer at the above election, do hereby give notice that the number of votes recorded for each candidate at the said election is as follows. Arthur Desmond Courtney, commonly known as Arthur Des, Labour Party, 1,315. Finlayson Rebecca Ann, commonly known as Finlayson Becky, Green Party, 198. Hancock Adam Jack, Coventry Citizens Party, 89. Heaven Martha, commonly known as Heaven Matty, Conservative and Unionist Party, 2,105. Moorshead James Frederick, Liberal Democrat, 214. The number of ballot papers rejected here was 7, and the turnout for this ward was 36.08%. So I do hereby declare that Martha Heaven is duly elected.
Thank you very much, Martin. I'd just like to thank actually everyone here tonight and everyone who's been working so hard throughout the day to make sure that this process is being done efficiently. Secondly, I'd like to thank the residents of Wainbody Ward who once more have put their trust in me and elected me as their councillor. And I know we have got a lot of work to do, especially making the Labour Council accountable and making sure that the Wainbody Ward gets their own fair share. So that would be my mission for the next 4 years. And finally, I would like to thank my campaign team and especially my agent, John Blundell, who's been really fantastic throughout the time, and my fellow councillor, Tim Sorden and the team. So thank you very much.
I'm now moving to declaration of result of poll in Coventry for the election of a City Councillor for Sherbourne on Thursday the 5th of May 2022. I, Martin Reeves, being the returning officer at the above election, do hereby give notice that the number of votes recorded for each candidate at the said election is as follows. Fogden, Marcus Luke Paris, Coventry Citizens Party, 100. Gardiner, Jacqueline Rosemary, commonly known as Gardiner Jackie, Conservative and Unionist Party, 1,420. Nellist, Jane Elizabeth, Trade Unionist and Socialist Coalition, 159. Proctor, Atanuk, commonly known as Proctor Nuki, Liberal Democrat, 176. Teggin, George, Green Party, 336. Walsh, James, commonly known as Walsh Seamus, Labour Party. Seamus, 1,455. The total number of ballot papers rejected here was 13, and the turnout was 30.52% for this ward. So I do hereby declare that James Seamus Walsh is duly elected.
Thank you very much for everybody for being here and working on my campaign for me. I'd like to thank the returning officer and his crew for all the hard work they've been putting today. Also the people on the polling booths, which we don't very often listen or get spoken to. We should say thank them, and the police as well. Thank you very much for the hard work that they stand in the back and they make sure that we're very safe. I also wish to thank my agent, Francis Crane, and I've been told there's a few pairs of shoes I've got to they've got to replace now with Gavin and co. Thank you all very much for all your help. And I also want to thank the constituents for coming out and voting for me and putting me in for another 4 years, and I shall do my utmost and do my best, as like I've done over the last 12 years on the work I've been doing. Thank you very much.
I'm now able to move the declaration of result of poll in Coventry for the election of a City Councillor for Foleshill on Thursday the 5th of May 2022. I, Martin Reeves, being the returning officer at the above election, do hereby give notice that the number of votes recorded for each candidate at the said election is as follows. Khan, Tariq, the Labour Party candidate, 1,806. Khan, Zaya Ahmed, Independent, 1,746. Misala Raja Reddy, Conservative and Unionist Party, 373. The total number of ballot papers rejected here was 27, and the turnout for this ward was 29.94%. So I do hereby declare that Tariq Khan is duly elected.
I thank the returning officer and all his staff for doing a wonderful job here this evening. Thank you so much for the time that you've spent in dealing with the affairs of democracy in this city tonight. I am absolutely delighted with the vote. I am delighted that the people of Foleshill have entrusted me once again to be their councillor, to represent them at the City Council and to fight for their affairs. That the hard work in Foleshill will continue. They can be assured about that. Let me also thank my agent, Councillor Shakila Nazir. She has been absolutely fantastic in the work that she's done. This victory would not have been possible without her support and her hard work. Let me also thank the chairman of the ward, Chaudhry Ilyas Dean, who has done a fantastic job in relation to raising the issues that Foleshill faces to my attention and to the attention of all the other councillors so that they can be resolved. And let me assure the people of Foleshill, the councillors of Foleshill, that's all 3 councillors, have been working extremely hard to deal with the situation and the problems that we have in Foleshill. There is clearly a lot of work that needs to be done, but let's not forget that we as a city have faced tax cuts from this Tory government to the tune of £120 million every single year. And that is why some wards have been adversely affected with a lack of funding and the starvation of some of the resources that have been experienced in certain wards. We will hopefully address those problems, we will hopefully deal with those issues, and we will continue to work hard for the benefit of the people of Foleshill to make sure that Foleshill is a better place to live in. So once again, thank you all my colleagues, thank you my fellow councillors, Abdul Khan, Councillor Nazir, Shakila Nazir, and all the other people who have been working so hard.
I'm now able to move to the declaration of result of poll in Coventry for the election of a City Councillor for Earlsdon on Thursday, the 5th of May, 2022. I, Martin Reeves, being the returning officer at the above election, do hereby give notice that the number of votes recorded for each candidate at the said election is as follows. Baxter Cameron Ewart, Coventry Citizens Party, 181. Finlayson John David Campbell, Green Party, 250. Harmsworth Adam Joachim, Trade Unionist and Socialist Coalition, 48. Raymond Said, Conservative and Unionist Party, 1,537. Richmond Stephen John, Liberal Democrat, 469. Sandhu Kalvinder Kaur, commonly known as Sandhu Kindi, Labour and Cooperative Party, 2,806. The total number of ballot papers rejected here was 29, and the turnout for this ward was 44.93%. So I do hereby declare that Kalvinder Kaur Sandhu is duly elected.
I'd like to begin, like many others before me today, to thank the returning officer and all of the staff who have worked so hard, not only today, but in the many weeks before. I'd also like to thank my agent, dear Miles Mackey, who has seen me through this election and the one before. So well, folks, we made history yet again in Earlsdon. This is the first time Labour has ever won 2 consecutive terms in the ward of Earlsdon, and we are so, so proud of that. I wouldn't be standing here if it wasn't for many others behind who had done so much work in the past. I stand on the shoulders of those. I stand on the shoulders of those who worked hard all those decades before and never gave up on Earlsdon, never gave up on seeing this day. So that brings me to the present day. And first of all, I'd like to thank my two besties, Ant and Becky, who have been by my side every day during this campaign. I'd also like to thank Kathy and John Fletcher, who have not only come to my house on many occasions to eat samosas and cake, but also to help me pack leaflets, etc. And it would be a great failing if I didn't thank my family, Tom, Jancy, Maya, and also Tom. So let me just say, why are we in the Labour Party and why do we fight to become elected members? It's because we believe in social justice and equality. Members before me have eloquently described the impact of austerity on their wards, when we are pilloried, when actually fact it's the national government that imparts all of the austerity to us in terms of £180,000 per day every day. So that's why I fight for the library in Earlsdon, for example, and that brings me to thank the residents of Earlsdon for bringing us to this momentous occasion today, this momentous win. And I'd just like to say a few things about the values that I have, the values of social justice and equality, which are Labour values. And let me tell you this, I still remember the first time I saw a man write, and how strange I thought that was. Because you see, my dad couldn't read or write anything, and in my home, when I was a child, it was my mum who wrote and not my dad. And so I don't forget that, and that's why I joined the Labour and Cooperative Party, and that's why I fight for the residents of Earlsdon, whether it's for the library, whether it's for supporting the schools, whether it's for doing what we can for the high street. I will fight and fight again. And that's why I want to thank again the residents of Earlsdon for making history once again. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we move to the final declaration of this morning, can I just thank those staff that remain and colleagues, media communication colleagues behind me who've worked tirelessly all evening, and always to my friends and colleagues in the media as well. Thanks very much for doing your important job to make sure people of Coventry and across the region can see these results being declared and interviewing those successful candidates. So I'm now able to move to the declaration of result of poll in Coventry for the election of a City Councillor for Westwood on Thursday, the 5th of May 2022. I, Martin Reeves, being the returning officer at the above election, do hereby give notice that the number of votes recorded for each candidate at the said election is as follows. Donnelly, James Richard, commonly known as Donnelly Jim, Trade Unionist and Socialist Coalition, 76. Jobbar Abdul, the Labour Party candidate, 1,533. Marshall Jessica Mary, Green Party, 350. Rai Manjit, Conservative and Unionist Party, 1,431. Simpson James Peter, commonly known as Simpson Jamie, Liberal Democrat, 235. The total number of ballot papers rejected here was 17, and the turnout for this ward was 26.75%. So I do hereby declare that Abdul Jabbar is duly elected.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Seventh time lucky. I'd like to thank Martin Reeves, Liz Reid, and the team for organising this. Can't thank them enough. I'd like to thank my wife Hilary, my son Sajid, and my daughter Sanjida for helping me with leafleting and door knocking. I'd like to say a big thank you to my agent, Maya Ali. I'd like to say thank you to my friends, and I'd like to say a big thank you to Councillor Royce Ali, all the Labour councillors. First of all, I must say a big thank you to the council leader, George Duggins. Is one of the best leader Coventry City Council ever produced, and he's always been there to help me, so I can't thank George enough. There's one person I must say a big thank you. He's been advising me, helping me, writing my leaflets, and that is Jim O'Boyle, and I can't thank Jim O'Boyle enough. Also Dave Tolson, David was, Naim Akhtar, my friend Shahin Ahmed, my friend Bad Shamia, Dewan Aliasko, Rubel, and my brothers. I must say a big thank you to Westwood, people of Westwood, for trusting me, and I'm not going to let them down, because the trust they put on me, I'll try my best. I'm going to give you 100%. Tonight's result shows Labour is a one-nation party, and this shows Labour can win anywhere in Coventry. So I'm going to say thank you to everyone in my campaign team, and thank you to Westwood, and I'm not going to let you down. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.